call this meeting to order. This is the April 23rd, 2026 Franklin Municipal Planning Commission meeting. And we'll begin with roll call. Commissioner Harrison.
Present.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Present.
Commissioner Lindsey's absent. Commissioner Orr is present. Commissioner Mann.
Here.
Commissioner McLemore.
Present.
Commissioner Williamson.
Present.
Alderman Peterson.
Here.
All right. So this is the period where we have the open comments for citizens to be heard on any issue or concern. If you'd like to speak on a specific item on the agenda, please wait until till the citizen comment period for that item occurs. For all citizen comments, please fill out a speaker card and hand it to staff. Come up to the microphone and state your name and address and limit your comments to 2 minutes. Are there any citizens that have comments on items that aren't on the agenda tonight? All right, let's begin. So item number 1 is the approval of the minutes, conditional approval of the March 26, 2026 meeting minutes. Can I have a motion?
Second.
Second. Proper motion by Alderman Peterson, second by Commissioner Mann. And we'll vote. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsey is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. The minutes pass. Staff announcements.
I don't believe I have any announcements tonight, Amy. No. Okay. Just looking at you to make sure I didn't forget anything. So we're good.
All right. The next item is for the consent agenda. This is consideration of approval of items 3 through 14 and 21 through 24 on the consent agenda. Does anybody like to pull an item? No? Have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Had a motion for approval by Commissioner Harrison and a second by Commissioner McLemore. And we'll vote. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsey is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
And Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
All right. The ayes have it. The consent agenda is approved. And now we'll go to item number 15. Consideration of resolutions 2026-21, a resolution amending the Franklin Grove subdivision to extend the vested rights for the property located at south of South Margin Street and east of Lewisburg Avenue, located at 423 South Margin Street. Staff?
Thank you. This request is to extend the vesting period for the Franklin Grove subdivision site plan for 1 year until April 27th of 2027 to allow the applicant to secure any necessary permits and commence site preparation. The site plan for the Franklin Grove subdivision was approved by the Planning Commission on April 27, 2023 on the consent agenda. The plan includes 1,535 square feet of additional institutional space for a site that is composed of 5.19 acres. Staff recommended approval with conditions of the site plan. The site plan received final approval by city staff in March of 2024, but the developers have not yet pulled any permits for the site or commenced site prep. If the vesting period is not extended, the project entitlements would cease to exist, stop work orders would be issued if applicable. A new development would need to be approved and would be reviewed against the current local development standards. In reviewing the approved plan against the current city regulations, the current plan generally complies. The differences in today's zoning ordinance versus those vested in the previous ordinance are minor and could be incorporated into the design without major changes to the plan. A new parkland agreement and new certificates of appropriateness from the Historic Zoning Commission would need to be approved for any new plan. A new and updated traffic study would also be required should the project lose its vesting. And just as a note, this is a Planning Commission level approval and will not go on to Board of Mayor and Alderman for consideration or approval. So staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve Resolution 2026-21 should you determine that the continuation of vested rights is in the best interest of the community. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone from the public like to speak on this item?
Hi, good evening. My name is Evan Foster with Pape Dawson, civil engineer representing this project. As of yesterday, we have pulled grading permit and had the pre-con, so we are very close, obviously, but this would expire on Monday. So in an effort, safety net, we just want to make sure we're not losing our vested rights.
All right. To have a motion?
Move for approval.
All right, proper motion and second. Is there any discussion on this one? None. And the motion was made by, which one of you? Alma. Commissioner McLemore, and seconded by Commissioner Harrison. And let's vote. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
And Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. Resolution 2026-21 passes. All right, item number 16. Consideration of resolutions 2025-26 as amended, a resolution approving a development plan for Harlan PUD subdivision with 15 modifications of development standards, building elements, parking, glazing, open space for the property located west of Hillview Lane, north of Coleman Road at 1247 Hillview Lane. Staff?
Thank you. Since the item was considered by Planning Commission, the applicant has provided an alternate language for condition 30 for off-site improvements, as well as an alternate design for northern access to the site. If you'll just follow along with me along the map here. So the northern access point, you can see the development down here. And before, the connection was made right around here to preserve the tree tunnel. The applicant has now revised that plan to essentially double the length of the Mac Hatcher extension all the way to Chimeric Drive, and then a new road this way into the Harlan development. And additionally, with this new plan, there is a revised language for condition of approval number 30 that I will read now. So it is up to the applicant to secure the right-of-way needed for off-site improvements. Specific details of right-of-way acquisition will be spelled out in an agreement if needed. Prior to the first new building permits issued for Harlan by the City of Franklin, the applicant shall complete the proposed entry improvements at Coleman Road and the proposed improvements to the Coleman Road and Henpeck Lane intersections at Columbia Pike. These improvements shall be accepted by the City of Franklin and TDOT prior to the opening of them for public use. Northern access from Harlan to Hillview Lane shall be temporarily gated with an emergency gate. The emergency gate shall be removed upon the completion of the following improvements or as coordinated with the city engineer for the City of Franklin. The western approach of the Mac Hatcher Parkway and Columbia Avenue intersection is improved. A 2-lane road section and 8-foot multi-use trail rural path for Mac Hatcher Parkway is extended to the proposed new intersection with Chimeric Drive and the new road. Chimeric Drive is extended to Mac Hatcher Parkway per Shadow Green, the PD subdivision for Shadow Green, approved November 2017. The new road is extended from Hillview Lane to Mac Hatcher Parkway. All new improvements are accepted by the City of Franklin and TDOT. These improvements shall be completed and accepted by the City of Franklin and TDOT prior to the issuance of the 151st residential building permit or prior to any certificates of occupancy for commercial or mixed-use buildings in Phase 2, as shown on the development plan, sheet C6.0, or as otherwise determined by the city engineer for the City of Franklin or its designee. The applicant shall update sheet C4.31 to clarify that the new road shall match the proposed Hillview Lane road section and to include a new temporary Mac Hatcher road section and replace exhibits on those sheets and in the development plan at one stop to reflect the modified condition of approval. So engineering did review this new plan as well as the revised language for condition number 30 with the applicant, and overall staff is supportive of the revised language for condition number 30. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen reviewed the new language for Condition 30 at their March 24th meeting of this year, and voted to amend the language to match what has been provided and what I just read. As a result, the item is coming back to the Planning Commission for a vote of concurrence on this amended condition. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen also voted to defer this item to the April 28th, 2026 meeting to allow for additional public hearings specifically related to this adjusted connectivity and amended condition. And just as a general note, the Board of Mayor and Aldermen did vote exactly as the Planning Commission recommended for the 15 modification of standards. Therefore, I will not be reviewing them unless you have specific questions. You have 15 more MOSs to look forward to later, so I don't want to spoil the fun. So staff's recommendation is not changing. We are still recommending approval with conditions, and I'm happy to answer any questions. We also have Jimmy Wiseman here from engineering if you have specific questions to the offsite improvements as well.
All right, thank you. Anyone from the public have any comments on this one? All right, we can move to the applicant.
Hi, good evening. My name is Adam Balish with Boyle Investment Company, and we are proud to be the applicant of Harlan and have been in front of many bodies here recently over the last couple years. As a local developer that's very present in this community, we try to do our best to listen to our neighbors, listen to planning commissioners like Ms. McLemore and others that have expressed concern over time about impacts to roads and putting infrastructure first. And so we were excited to be able to work through some alternatives compared to what came before you all, probably over a year ago. And in addition to modifying this northern access point to bypass the majority of Hillview Lane, one of the other key components that we are proposing as part of this is that we are proposing to make the modifications and improve the intersection at Coleman and Henpeck before any building permits are pulled on this site. And so the previous conditions limited it to around 30, I believe. And we are suggesting, hey, we'll go ahead and build out that entire intersection before we pull the first permit. So again, making sure that we're doing our best to put infrastructure first through that process. So as Joey said, we support the staff recommendations, have been working very closely with them. And we also support the recommendations based on the modifications of standard. Following your recommendation for, I'll call it disapproval of modification number 1, we've pulled that ourselves. And so even though that was kind of voted down at BOMA, we also decided to pull that request. So we are in line with staff and happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Have a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, proper motion and second. Any discussion? Anyone?
I mean, I just think from what we saw before, this seems like a much better solution, especially when we think about in the far, far, far future when Mac-Hatcher does circle the city. That makes a lot of sense.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none, we'll vote. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. Resolution 2025-26 is passed. Item number 17, consideration of ordinance 2026-06, an ordinance to rezone 204.34 acres from Plan PD 1.26 district to Plan PD 1.27 district, and rezone 0.55 acres from PD 1.26 district to residential 1 R1 district for the property located south of Murfreesboro Road, east of South Carruthers Road, including the property located at 1005 Copley Road, Cleta Parkwood subdivision. Staff?
Yes, thank you. So as the chair just read, the majority of this request is to rezone much of the Coletta Park PUD subdivision from PD 1.26 to PD 1.27 and to rezone 0.55 acres for a parcel being removed from the Coletta Park subdivision from PD 1.26 to residential R1 district. This rezoning is associated with revision 2 of the Coletta Park PUD subdivision development plan. The 0.55 acre parcel proposed to be removed is currently designated as open space in the Coletta Park PUD subdivision. The acreage is designated open space in the development plan, and it currently exceeds the required amount and would still exceed the required amount with this 0.55 acre parcel removed. While this 0.55 acre parcel alone does not meet the R1 zoning ordinance requirement for lot size, the neighboring property intends to consolidate his lot with this parcel and develop it in accordance with R1 zoning. As far as the Coletta development is concerned, the number of units and the uses are not changing, but the decrease in acreage causes the density to slightly go up. And so that's why you see that rezoning for both this parcel and the remaining Coletta development. With that, I can answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone from the public like to comment on this item? All right, seeing none, have an applicant.
Hi, Matt Huff with Kimley Horn, representing Development Plan Revision 2. I guess importantly, there's no change to the approved unit count or the layout, no meaningful change to the density or open space compliance. Both formal and informal open space are continuing to exceed the city requirements. So this is simply a correction to an unintended boundary condition that was created by the alignment of Copley Road and will allow the adjacent property to function appropriately under its existing R1 zoning. Appreciate staff's review, and we're happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion on this item?
Recommend to the Board of Mayor Alderman approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Harrison for approval, second by Commissioner McLemore. Any discussion on this one? All right, all good. Let's vote on it. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. Ordinance 2026-06 is passed. Item number 18, consideration of resolutions 2026-25, a resolution approving revised development plan for Coletta Park PUD subdivision for the property located south of Murfreesboro Road and east of South Carruthers Road. Staff?
Yes, so this item is specifically to update the limits of the Coletta Park PUD now that they are removing that parcel. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right. Anyone from the public want to comment on this one? All right, seeing none. Applicant, any more to say? All good? Do I have a motion?
Move to recommend approval to the Board of Mayor Alderman with staff conditions.
All right. Have a proper motion by Commissioner Harrison and a second by Commissioner Williamson. Any discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll vote on it. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. Resolutions 2026-25 passes. All right. Item 19. Consideration of resolutions 2026-23, a resolution approving a revised development plan for Berry Farms Town Center PUD subdivision for the property located north of Goose Creek Bypass and east of Lewisburg Pike. Staff?
Yes, I am so sorry. Give me just 1 second to pull up this map. You read that so fast. Okay. Well, while that's loading, I'll go ahead and get started. The applicant has submitted a development plan revision for Berry Farms Town Center, as you stated. The proposed revision does include updates to the location of office and multifamily uses, parking garage adjustments, and open space reconfiguration. There are no entitlement changes or modifications of standard requests. The proposed changes are isolated to Block C and D of the development plan, and because they change the character of this portion of the plan from what was previously approved, Planning Commission, it triggers a Planning Commission level review. It does not include a rezoning. Envision Franklin places this area in the neighborhood use design concept and states that the development should provide a diverse mix of high activity uses with a connected and walkable block layout. These centers and corridors should have coordinated development patterns at a pedestrian scale with high quality architecture, plazas, sidewalks, and pedestrian and bicycle amenities to activate the street and connect these gathering places to the residential neighborhoods they support. Envision Franklin further states that new multifamily residential is encouraged to create lively walkable neighborhoods near restaurants, shops, grocery stores, and workplaces. First floors are encouraged to have active commercial spaces, including retail, restaurant, leasing office, and other amenities, which should be individually accessible from the street. In locations where commercial use on the floor is not viable, multifamily units should provide individual ground floor entrances, stoops, or front porches, and pedestrian connections to the street or to a drive resembling a street. Multifamily and mixed-use site design should integrate seamless pedestrian connectivity across the site and to other uses. The proposed revisions to the Berry Farms Town Center PUD plan maintain compliance with the recommendations and principles of Envision Franklin. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve Resolution 2026-23 with conditions.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
And public comment. I believe we have at least one person from the public who's given us a card, Mr. Greg Huber. Please come to the mic, state your name and address, please.
Hi, I'm Greg Huber. I live on 1018 John Martin Lane in Berry Farms subdivision. I've lived there for 8 years and have been continually frustrated with the sidewalk going along Goose Creek bypass, that you can't go from that sidewalk into the development on Captain Freeman or Moss Lane, and then it ends before you get to 431. So you're kind of at a dead end there unless you want to go off-roading to try to get into the development. So I think the changes that have been made, to the layout of the buildings, I personally think are good. My concern is in the area of sidewalks. The Envision Franklin, the zoning ordinance, and the transportation and street technical standards all are very clear about having sidewalks on both sides of streets. The only exception is Mountcatcher and I-65, which obviously this is not the case, and also having sidewalk connectivity for circulation. So the current plan doesn't support those requirements, in my opinion. And so it's true that the Captain Freeman Bridge, as built, does not have sidewalks. No one apparently knows why. Back in 2013, it wasn't built with sidewalks, but it wasn't. And Boyle has a draft or tentative site plan to add a sidewalk on the east side, which is the opposite side of where the new development's happening. The Section 11 development we talked about is on the they're on the west side. The development's on the east side. So it seems to me that to honor the Envision Franklin zoning ordinances and technical standards for the streets, that the right answer would be for the bridge to be on either the left side or the east side of the bridge if you can't be on both sides, which would be truly compliant, but I know there's a space issue and a cost issue to change it, or have a pedestrian bridge be over the creek on the west side. So you can go from the new area that's being developed, over to Goose Creek bypass on a sidewalk without having to go to the east side of Captain Freeman. If you go to the east side of Captain Freeman, then, which is where the current proposal is for adding a sidewalk, then you've got to go on 6 crosswalks to get back to the east side. If it's on the west side, you have to go 6 sidewalks to get back on the east side of the development, which is where all the apartments are and most of the homes are. And so it'd be inconvenient and also a safety issue because people are not going to go on 6 crosswalks. They're going to cut across that, Captain Freeman, which is a very busy street. So my request is that there be a condition added to the approval to either have a sidewalk on the east side of the bridge or a pedestrian sidewalk, an independent pedestrian sidewalk going across the creek. I think that would be honoring the rules that the city of Franklin has put in place.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else from the public, we'll move on to the applicant.
Hi, good evening again. My name is Adam Balish with Boyle Investment Company, and I'm here to represent the owner this evening. So I'll try to address both some of the public comment, but also address specifically the request that's in front of you this evening for a modification to the development plan. So the area that is in red, I guess, on the site here is partially the area that's being requested for revision. Do you have a slide that just shows the specifics of the development plan that are being revised?
I can pull one up. Here, we'll share.
Sure. Thank you. So as you may remember or know, Berry Farms Town Center's original PUD was approved in 2005. So needless to say, the market changes a few times between that original approval and today. This only being the fourth amendment, we're kind of lucky that we've not been in front of you more times over the last 2 decades requesting changes. But one of the changes that we have requested and worked closely with Amy and her staff on was that there is a portion of the development across the street from Residence Inn that was showing a 6-story office building. Right now we had 2 proposed 6-story office buildings there. Thank you. And that is, in general, this area, if you can see the pointer, was a 6-story office building, and there was a separate 6-story office building here. And there were 3 to 4-story mixed-use buildings along Captain Freeman across from Publix. Due to some of the change in how people are working and officing post-COVID and the office demand there, we worked with staff to submit a revised plan where we are changing that 6-story office building to a 2-story series of townhomes and a 2 to 4-story mixed-use building, keeping an office building here and then using these buildings to screen a deck. So the overall density of the plan is decreasing kind of from intensity, if that makes sense. Similarly, the 2 to 4-story mixed-use buildings along the Captain Freeman, we're suggesting single-story retail there that is kind of in keeping with what's already around Publix. In reviewing that with Amy, she pointed out the fact that this, in her opinion, was a change of character to the plan, and therefore warranted us to come back before Planning Commission to show you all these suggested changes and get your blessing. What we are not suggesting or requesting as part of any of this process is any modification or change to existing conditions of approval of Berry Farms. So this is simply a submittal to update the character of these areas. There are existing conditions that were placed on the previous amendment that required us to widen roads and make infrastructure improvements prior to us going vertical or receiving COs rather on the areas north of the creek. The gentleman that spoke a minute ago said that he thought that we had submitted those plans. To clarify for your all's benefit, those plans were submitted and run through the Planning Commission cycle on administrative agenda because their infrastructure in the kind of the second half of 2025. We got one-stop approval of those last week in a submittal and are looking to start those improvements this summer. And that would include the widening of Captain Freeman, the widening and continuation of Village Plains and a bridge that would connect here in the center, and widening of Berry Farms Crossing by Daly's. And as we went through that process, staff came to us and asked if we could incorporate a sidewalk on Captain Freeman to cross the bridge. And we worked through that with staff and are excited to say that there is a sidewalk that we've now been able to add to cross the bridge and connect to Goose Creek. One thing that I'd love to just hand out to make one clarification. This is a plan sheet from the original PUD. And so there was a comment or question to say, not really sure why sidewalks weren't built in 2013. If you travel to Berry Farms today, Moss Lane and Captain Freeman, neither of those roads have sidewalks that connect to Goose Creek Bypass. I've been at Boyle for over 18 years. This plan was approved prior to my tenure at Boyle. But what you'll notice, the sidewalks in question or the roads in question are the furthest two roads on the left of this plan, Moss Lane and Captain Freeman. And what you'll notice there is that they do not have a bold yellow arrow going north from Goose Creek. So if you really squint and look in at that, there is a bike trail that is north of the creek that's shown in brown. And so the pedestrian connectivity in that zone was to funnel to the bike trail and then disseminate kind of east and west, but not approach these kind of key arterial intersections for pedestrian crossings at that location. So that is kind of the history of why those roads weren't built there. That was part of the approved PUD in 2005. As I said, we have been able to work with staff to include a sidewalk today that's in the approved plans that were approved last week. So happy to answer any more questions on that, but the primary request tonight was for the modification of the development plan to change the character going from a 6-story building to 2-story or 4 to 1 in those two areas. So happy to answer any questions. Appreciate your help.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion on this item?
Motion approved. Second.
All right, had a motion for approval by Commissioner Franks and a second by Commissioner Harrison. Discussion? Anyone? Commissioner Mann?
The buildings labeled D1, D2, D3, those are now retail. The three that you said up and next against Captain Freeman, those are now going. How many? What were they and what are they now proposed?
D2 and D3 are would be single-story, 1 to 2-story retail in this plan, I believe, on the submittal.
Okay.
They were 2 to 4-story mixed use originally, meaning retail below office in that submittal. D1 is kind of misleading on the corner there. D1 remains a 4-story mixed use building and wraps the entire street, kind of wrapping around that parking deck. So the mixed use nature we still have, and it will complement the existing 3-story buildings that are around the park that exist today with ground floor retail and multifamily above that.
Okay.
So those plans aren't changing, sir.
And for sidewalk, what I'm getting, I envision somebody parking at the tip of the triangle there from, I guess, the public parking lot and wanting to run across the street to the retail on the first floor. Will there be? There's an existing sidewalk on the public side. Will there be a sidewalk on the other side and an intersection?
Yes, sir. So there will be. There are sidewalks. They're not constructed today,
Yeah.
but there will be sidewalks on the east side of Captain Freeman,
Okay.
down to the bike trail, which is generally in this area north of the creek. The sidewalk on the west side would continue all the way to Goose Creek, but on the east side would continue and stop at the bike trail. Currently, there is admittedly a large pedestrian gap at Berry Farms. Even some of our consultants that are here tonight work in some of these office buildings that are closer to the Lee Company office. And in order to circumnavigate back to restaurants and things like that, they kind of have to take a circuitous route today because these roads that are part of this upcoming project are not built yet. So those will be constructed and built as part of this. One other thing that I failed to mention was that at the last revision, there was a condition placed on our approvals that required us to do with staff and us as applicants and consultants is a individual intersection traffic study for the internal roads at Berry Farms. So typically when site plans are submitted where the traffic studies are studying intersections outside of the project. It's kind of crazy that we're now studying roads inside the project at Berry Farms now, but so with the site plan, we submitted a pre-app for generally everything that you see in blue, minus this office building. And one of the comments back on that pre-app was from Jimmy and their staff was, hey, we need you studying these intersections. As part of that, we have already converted Captain Freeman and Hughes Crossing here adjacent to Publix to a four-way stop. That previously was not. It was a east-west stop, but Captain Freeman was a free-flowing north-south. That's been revised as of about 2 weeks ago, maybe, Jimmy, to a full four-way stop. And then we are studying the additional intersections as you go south to understand if those need to be four-way stops or what kind of controls are done at that intersection. So that'll be part of the site plan submittal when that comes before you all for this area.
Okay, great. I look forward to seeing that part. I frequent Berry Farms a lot, and particularly that area, so I understand the concern. So thank you, and thanks for walking through that sidewalk issue again. I'm sure that's what you said probably the first time, but I missed it.
Any additional discussion? All right, we have a proper motion for approval and second, and we'll vote on this item. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
The ayes have it. Resolution 2026-23 passes. All right, item number 20. Consideration of Resolution 2026-24, a resolution approving a revised development plan for Ovation PUD subdivision with 15 modifications of development standards, building type, on-street parking, loading zones, and signs for the property located at the southeast corner of East McEwen Drive and Carruthers Parkway. Staff?
Yes, thank you. I am gonna get the hang of this. What am I doing wrong? Okay, we're gonna go with this. For some reason, it's like, sorry, I can't do two things at one time. There we go. Okay. I was just putting off the 15 modifications of standard readings. So this is to request an additional 15 modifications of standards and to update vesting to current standards. The vesting update does not change the plan in any way. It just allows some additional signs by right. This revision does not propose any changes in density or entitlements from revision 2, the original entitlements. For reference, revision 3 was a layout revision to improve roadway design and building placement that was approved at the January 2026 FMPC meeting. With this revision, revision 4, there are no major layout changes, and the only changes on the plan are those as a result of the modifications of standards requests. MOS number 1. Also, you were given a little reference sheet.
Yes.
That is it's color coded, so hopefully it's simple as we go through this. So I'll try to be quick. MOS number 1 is a request to allow angled parking along internal private streets. Chapter 9.2.4b states that other streets may have parallel parking per the transportation and street technical standards, and the proposed alternative is angled parking along internal private streets. The intent of the zoning ordinance is to limit the amount of parking in front of buildings, accentuating a pedestrian-friendly and activated streetscape. Angled parking creates the feeling of a parking lot in front of buildings. As opposed to parallel parking spaces, angled parking requires additional pavement to accommodate both the parking space and movement in and out of the space. Angled parking also creates an unsafe environment for patrons wanting to access their trunk while their car is parked, placing the patron within the drive lane of the street. In addition, the proposed configuration does not meet the city's engineering standards, raising additional concerns related to safety, maneuverability, and operational consistency with the street network. At the joint conceptual workshop, it was mentioned by some elected appointed officials that angled parking could be supported as a parking option when the street traffic volume was low. The location proposed for this angled parking is along the major thoroughfare of the development within the heart of the activated commercial and entertainment core of the development. For these reasons, staff feels that standard parallel parking or other compliant configurations should be utilized, and staff recommends disapproval of MOS 1. I'm also going to ask Jimmy to come forward. He worked up a diagram for us.
Start talking.
Okay, I'm gonna let you do that.
Let's see, where did that hide? Is it down here?
It's on the desktop, so you're gonna have to go back to here
Okay.
and on the desktop. And then you can double click it.
All right.
Closed out. That's the presentation. This
Got it.
is the auto turn.
All right. Let's see how fast our internet is. I can describe it and certainly get you the information you need. I won't go through the presentation again. I think everyone was here for that at Joint Conceptual. But I did want to highlight a couple things from that presentation. One was the example I gave in Cookeville where they removed some angled on-street parking spaces. So we contacted them asking why. And between the years 2022 and 2024, this is West Broad Street in Cookeville. You can go on some aerial and kind of go back in time. They replaced it last year, so it's easy to see. Between 2022 and 2024, there were 15 crashes reported, and 14 of those were related to the angled parked cars, whether they were backing into traffic, a car was trying to pull in and hit another one. No injuries or anything like that, but there were 14 out of the 15 crashes that happened in that short stretch of roadway were because of the on-street parking, the angled on-street parking. A couple of examples came up last week, or at Joint Conceptual, about examples here in Franklin, one being Main Street, right off 5 Points. You've probably driven on it. I did on the way here today. It's a one-way street, different animal. It has about 20 plus feet of pavement between the angled spaces and the other parking spaces that are there. The other example was Hughes Crossing in Berry Farms, which we've talked a little bit about tonight, at which that road tees into Moss Lane and terminates on the other end at a Publix parking lot. And it's surrounded by pretty low density, single story, maybe 3-story at most, mixed use development. The drawing that I cannot show you was our attempt to use a program called AutoTurn, which is the model that every traffic engineer, every site designer uses to lay out parking, lay out streets, and making sure that a vehicle can maneuver properly. That's where you'll see wider radii when you have trucks coming through and buses and things like that. We run all of our fire trucks on this template as well. We took the smallest vehicle that AASHTO will even list on their design guidelines and tried to maneuver in and out of these spaces that are shown on the plan. Under no circumstance were we able to do it without either entering into one of the other stalls or entering into opposing traffic. Now that happens all the time in parking lots when you're trying to find a parking space, but you're very aware of that. So again, wish I could show you, but we really tried to make that work to see if you could stay within the travel lane and make the movement, but it just can't be done. So just further highlighting the fact that it may be appropriate in some places to show angled parking at certain degrees of angle, but on the major roadways that bisect a highly dense development, it's just inappropriate. Thank you.
Okay, MOS number 2. It's a request to allow a loading zone in the front of a building. Chapter 10.6.3b states that an on-site loading area shall be 1, located to the rear of the building adjacent to the loading doors, and 2, arranged to have safe and convenient access to a street, but in no case shall the loading area extend into the required drive aisle of a parking area. The intent of the zoning ordinance is that the loading area would not be visible from the road. The proposed loading zone, while in the front of the building, will be screened from view of the road with a screening wall and a grade change. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 2 with the condition that the brick screening wall be integrated into the facade and meet the requirements of the building type. MOS number 3. It's a request to allow variation in the multifamily building facade presentation. Chapter 6.8 states that the front facade shall face the public street, private street, or internal drive in that priority order, and that the front facade shall parallel the frontage. The following language is proposed to be added, except where the building pulls back from being parallel to the street to allow for activated, unusable open spaces that is well connected to the pedestrian network, to allow the variation in the building facade presentation on multifamily buildings. The intent of the zoning ordinance is to require buildings to be parallel to ensure that developments are pedestrian focused and friendly. The language proposed, while it allows for a deviation from buildings being parallel to the frontage, it still ensures the intent of the zoning ordinance. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 3. MOS number 4, very similar, but for the commercial mixed-use building type. They would like to also add the following language to the end of chapter 6.9 that states that the front facade shall face the public street, private street, or internal drive in that priority order, and that the front facade shall parallel the frontage except where the building pulls back from being parallel to the street to allow for activated and usable open space that is well connected to the pedestrian network. The intent of the zoning ordinance to require buildings to be parallel is to ensure that developments are pedestrian-focused and friendly. The language proposed, while it allows for a deviation from buildings being parallel to the frontage, still ensures the intent of the zoning ordinance. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 4. MOS number 5 is a request to permit irregular-shaped signs. Chapter 15.1.3 states that signs shall not be irregularly shaped except for small hanging projecting signs. Irregularly shaped signs have been approved by previous MOS requests. The applicant is requesting to revise the standard to allow irregularly shaped signage related to the element that is representative of the project and business logo or symbol. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 5. MOS number 6 is a request to permit neon and LED internal illumination when the sign has 3-dimensional depth and is used within a channel or used to reinforce the design of a sign as letters, numbers, logos, and accent lines. Chapter 15.1.6 states that this standard will apply to the following sign types: band signs, development entry signs, monument signs, vertical blade signs, and wall signs. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 6. MOS number 7. This is a request to permit 15 pedestrian scale interactive displays to provide wayfinding or advertising. They are to be a maximum square footage of 50 total square feet per sign with a maximum of 2 sides, maximum height of 10 feet, and signs are to be located on internal drives only and located within the frontage of commercial mixed-use building types or within a formal open space out of view of Carruthers Parkway, McEwen Drive, and Ovation Parkway. Chapter 15.110O states that the following signs are prohibited: LED electronic message centers. The applicant's request for 15 of these prohibited signs, and since the sign type is prohibited, there are no standards for the size of the sign. Further, the sign and quantity proposed by the applicant is too substantial. With the dimension capped at 10 feet in height and the maximum allowance of 50 square feet, the MOS essentially permits a 10-foot tall by 5-foot wide sign, or the standard width of a sidewalk. Staff recommends disapproval of MOS number 7. MOS number 8. It's a request to permit a large format digital display screen mounted on the facade of a building for on-site advertising and events. The sign is to be located on the ground floor of a commercial mixed-use building out of view from Carruthers Parkway, McEwen Drive, and Ovation Parkway. Maximum square footage of the sign would be 400 square feet. Chapter 15.1.10p states that the following signs are prohibited: LED display screens. The applicant's request is the first request of its kind, and since the sign type is prohibited, there are no standards for the size of the sign, and the size proposed by the applicant is too substantial. Staff recommends disapproval of MOS number 8. MOS number 9. It's a request to permit band signs above the entrance to a paseo or an alleyway. Chapter 15.4 states that the quantity of these types of signs are a maximum of 1 per main entrance per retail storefront tenant space of the ground floor if no wall sign is present on the building. Buildings 5 stories or more may have band signs as described above in addition to permitted wall signs. The sign area would be a maximum of 1.5 square feet per linear foot of retail storefront / tenant space facade. The applicant is requesting to add language to allow for band signs above the entrance to a paseo or alleyway as written within the sign area requirements, which staff can support. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 9. MOS number 10. This is a request to allow a canopy sign to project above the canopy roof line and allow for internal illumination. Chapter 15.5 states that the placement of these types of signs shall be placed on the front facade of the canopy and outside of the HPO. The sign can be placed above the canopy when channel cut letters are used. The lighting allowed is external illumination only. The applicant is requesting to add language to allow canopy signage to be located above the canopy roof line and allow for both external and internal illumination when not visible from McEwen Drive or Carruthers Parkway, and the canopy is located at the ground floor entrance. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 10. MOS number 11. This is a request to allow a directory sign on the building facade or freestanding adjacent to the primary entrance of the building with a maximum of 10 square feet per building facade, in addition to other permitted signage on the building, and with exterior and interior illumination. Chapter 15.8 states that a small sign that is flat against the building facade and mounted or applied directly to the building is the definition of a directory sign. The sign area is a maximum of 4.5 square feet per building facade, and that lighting is external illumination only. While the request deviates from what is allowed within the zoning ordinance, it is similar to requests made with other plans that were approved and supported by BOMA. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 11. MOS number 12. This is a request to permit internal and external illumination for small hanging and projecting signs. Chapter 15.12 states that external illumination only is allowed. Staff recommends disapproval of MOS number 12. This type of request has never been approved anywhere else, so there's no precedent for this request. Small hanging and projecting signs are meant to be on a pedestrian scale and aimed at the pedestrian realm, and internal illumination does not aid in achieving this intent. MOS number 13. This is a request to allow a maximum of 1 per commercial mixed-use building where residential is on upper floors over commercial, a maximum of 1 per multifamily building, and a maximum of 1 per parking structure. These vertical blade signs shall not project below the window header of the first floor and shall not project above the parapet of the building facade. A maximum of 4 feet from the building facade, inclusive of the bracket depth. Chapter 15.14 states that the quantity of these vertical blade signs are maximum of 1 per building frontage on a street intersection and may be used only if no other hanging signs exist on the ground floor retail storefront / tenant space below. The sign area of these is a maximum of 30 square feet or 1 square foot per linear foot of building facade, whichever is less. The placement is at the corner of the building or at the change in mass near the corner of the building. It shall not project below the window header of the first floor, shall not project above the cornice of a 2-story building or above the window sills of the 3rd story of the building with more than 2 stories. When it comes to projection, it states that it projects from the building facade at a 90-degree angle or at 45-degree angle when placed at a corner of a building. It's a maximum of 3.5 feet from the building facade, and brackets connecting the sign to the building facade shall be a minimum depth of 1 foot and a maximum of 1.5 foot. The updates to the language within the zoning ordinance requested by the applicant are not overly concerning to staff. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 13. MOS number 14 is a request to permit painted wall signs and add language to the quantity, placement, and material. Chapter 15.15 states that the quantity is a maximum of 1 per building facade only if no band sign exists on the building. Buildings 5 stories or more may have signs as described in addition to the permitted band signs. Materials would include brick, stone, wood, metal, or composite material that has the same properties. The applicant is proposing language just to allow for painted wall signs. Staff recommends approval of MOS number 14 based on positive feedback from the joint conceptual regarding painted signs. MOS number 15. This is for window signs, and it's a request to permit 20% coverage on window signs and the material to include white, frosted, or gold leaf vinyl. Chapter 15.16 states that the sign area of these is a maximum of 15% of an individual window area, but shall not exceed 5 window signs. In cases where windows are grouped, the sign area shall not exceed 15% of the window grouping area. The materials include metal, wood, or easily removable paint, paper, cloth, or other like material. Staff is not overly concerned with the language update requested by the applicant. Therefore, staff recommends approval of MOS number 15. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen to approve Resolution 2026-24 with conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone from the public like to comment on this item? All right, seeing none, have an applicant.
Hello, my name is Greg Gamble, and I'm representing tonight the Ovation Development Team, including Highwoods and CenterCal, and Alec Chambers is here tonight with me in case you have questions for the developers. I provided to you a quick, simple packet. This has every modification of standards. There's no new information in here except for a map that I'm going to draw your attention to here in just a few minutes. But this is information from the development plan sheets itself, so I thought it would be easy and kind of simple for you to peruse through. I'd like to comment on 4 of these modification of standards. If at any point you have additional questions for me on some of the other modification of standards, I'm happy to address those. But for the sake of time, I just thought I would talk about the 4. On modification of standards number 1. Development plans are identified in the zoning ordinance as used to create special places. It's about placemaking. The modification of standards that we're asking for in Ovation are to make Ovation special. It's to make it unique. It's a standout development and a center that we're all going to be very excited about and proud of. Ovation has over 400,000 square feet of restaurants, retail, and personal services. The distance, I'm going to use this map real quick. The distance from Carruthers Parkway to Ovation Parkway is the same distance as it is from Starbucks to Landmark Bookstore. Give you a sense of scale and how long this walk is. No, I got it. I think it's okay. On modification of standards number 1, we're asking for angled parking. You've heard some concerns tonight about safety. You notice on Main Street, we have 2 parking scenarios there. we have parallel parking. But if you drive past 5 Points, we have angled parking that goes all the way down the street. You'll also notice that where there's parallel parking, you have a lot of mid-block crossings, a lot of pedestrians that cross between those parallel spaces. With angled parking, we're focusing the pedestrian crossings to the intersections. Each one of these intersections will have a raised table where, if you look on the front cover, you'll see that in the illustrative. This is a raised table where it makes it safer for pedestrians to cross the street, and it really focuses those who have strollers to cross at the intersection as opposed to crossing mid-block. The other thing you'll notice about the Ovation Master Plan is there's 6 parking structures. That's where the majority of our parking is located. If you want convenient parking at Ovation, you're going to park in the parking structures. Decks E, H, X, N, and L all have direct connections out to Ovation Parkway. This is where our traffic is going to flow, on Ovation Parkway. Deck E and B, they connect directly to Knoll Top, which with a right turn out or a left turn out, you're able to get out of Ovation. It's very, very intentionally designed this way so that the structured parking becomes the parking that's easiest if you're staying there for a while, if you're staying there long term. If you're coming in for a 10-minute pickup or coming in for 15 minutes, the angled parking provides for a convenient, easy, quick turnover parking. It's only within this area of Encore Lane and only within this area of Knoll Top. So very specific key locations where that angled parking is located. We do have angled parking in downtown Franklin. We have angled parking at Berry Farms. We have angled parking at Gateway Village. We called the City of Franklin Police Department and asked how many accidents have occurred in those areas where we have angled parking. And since they've been constructed, they've had 0. I understand that the location and the design is very important. We take that very seriously. Our design team's taking that very seriously. But this corridor that is through Ovation is intended and meant to be pedestrian. It's meant to be and is designed for pedestrian safety, and it's very intentional in that regard. On modification of standards number 7. This modification of standards has had a lot of communication between us and the staff. Staff asked us for a map that we wanted to turn in with the resubmittal. We weren't able to. I have a map tonight that kind of speaks toward modification of standards number 7. Unfortunately, staff has not had a chance to review this map. Our team is requesting digital wayfinding signs. In this modification of standards, we said permit up to 15 with a maximum height of 10. After further analysis, we are comfortable with you making a condition of approval or modifying this modification of standards to permit up to 12 with a maximum height of 8 feet and kind of reduce that scale. These digital wayfinding signs are planned to be in areas where pedestrians are coming out of these parking garages. Where when you come out to the pedestrian network, when you come out to the pedestrian area, you're able to identify where you need to go, ice cream, hair salon, etc. And there's a clear digital map that gives you clear direction to where you're going to go. There are 2 on Encore Lane here in the park. The others are very intentionally located so that they're where the pedestrians are accessing this main road, where the restaurants and retailers are going. With 400,000 square feet of restaurants, retail, and personal services, there needs to be clear direction to patrons that are visiting them on where to get there and where to go. We certainly appreciate.
In addition to just day-to-day, again, Alec Chambers with Highwoods, we are planning to have, maybe 1,000 events a year at Ovation. That sounds like a lot, but that's about 20 a week. I mean, that's yoga in the morning, dog walking, something in there. I mean, that's like 3 a day, which when you put it down to that, it doesn't sound like that much. But every single day, it's going to be a very dynamic environment. So when people are coming out of the decks, and you can see these are all strategically placed. So when people come out of the deck, they can see an area to yoga, go here, dog event, or some other event, Christmas tree lighting, movie. This is just to help people, because it's, we sometimes lose the scale of how big Ovation is. And if you're coming in out of a deck and you're with somebody that's going to one event and you're going to another, just a way for us to be able to change it every day, every hour. And having static signs, it isn't going to cut it. It's just not feasible. So this is a way for us to help the pedestrians get to the right place for all these events we plan on having at Ovation.
On modification of standards number 8, this is for a movie screen in the park. We can't just call it a movie screen. It will have some advertisements on it, just like when you go to the movies and they start rolling a movie, it advertises for some of the businesses in the area and then they play the movie. We intend to have outdoor areas in the park where families can gather, young kids can come play. It's a part of the atmosphere and the experience of being at Ovation. Certainly love your consideration of supporting this modification of standards. The screen, as we wrote in the modification of standards, faces back toward Building G. It does not face out toward the street. It will not face out toward McEwen or Carruthers. It's intended to be a park element. It's intended to be a part of that experience of the park. As you'll notice with these modification of standards, as you reviewed them and studied them, you've noticed that the vast majority of these modification of standards are within just this red box here, within this corridor. We're not talking about modification of standards of signage that relates to anything on Carruthers or along Ovation Parkway or McEwen. It's all about this experience being innovation when you're internalized inside this commercial core. And that takes us to modification of standards number 12, which staff is also recommending disapproval on, which relates to small hanging signs. As mentioned by staff, we are requesting that the retailers have the opportunity to have internally lit signs with streets that, again, are from Starbucks to Landmark Book. We don't expect every retailer to have an internally lit sign. We are trying to give the opportunity to have some expression, to create some individuality, to create some uniqueness. And where there are small hanging signs, if somebody wanted to create the glow of an ambiance that related to their particular business, we'd like to give the opportunity for them to do that. And we appreciate your consideration on that. Internally lit small hanging signs might not be appropriate everywhere in Franklin, may not be appropriate at the factory. With the energy and the vibrance that Ovation is bringing, we believe that it is appropriate along this corridor and internal within Ovation. Happy to answer any questions that you may have. And again, I didn't hit every MOS, but if you do have questions about one of them, I'm happy to go through it with you.
All right, thank you. So, do I have a motion on the primary resolution?
Motion to approve. Second.
All right. Proper motion and second. Let's roll into the modification of standards. MOS number 1, request to allow angled parking along internal private streets.
Motion to approve.
Is there a second on that one?
I'll second.
Okay. Have a proper motion and second. Let's discuss that. Anybody have thoughts, comments?
Results with the city not having any accidents, and we have angle parking, and I'm old, I can't parallel park, so I love angle parking. And I'm not making this decision based on my ability to park, but I think this is a special place, and I think the area that it's going to be, where the angle parking would be, I think it warrants the modification.
In and out that I've ever seen at Berry Farms, the way it works. From Tito's all the way up to Publix, that angle parking's perfect.
Commissioner
I think my question on this would be that it was brought up that this doesn't meet the city standards, and I think the question I have is how does, excuse me, the Berry Farms examples, how are those different than what we're looking at? Is there something that's different from what they did at Berry Farms and the other examples in the city, where this one is meeting it less? What?
I don't know what, I'd have to go back and look at the old PUD for Berry Farms and when that was approved, if it was even in the standards at the time, or if they asked for a modification of standards also. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's one or the other, I'd imagine. Either it wasn't in the standard at that time, or a modification of standards
Okay.
was requested.
So I think just, that would be the only thing, is just make sure if this is a thing, that it's at least comparable, if not better, on spacing and everything to what we have, so we don't design it differently, and then it's an issue.
Anyone else have thoughts or comments on this one?
I guess this is one that I don't think I can support. I wasn't on this commission when Berry Farms came before us, or downtown Franklin, that parallel parking. I honestly see both sides of this. I just have a hard time taking position, contrary to staff. That it's clear Jimmy feels very strongly about this, and has evidence to back up. I think that position, despite not being able to pull it up on the screen. Oh, there it is. Maybe I'll
Lucky
pause, and Jimmy, you can show us this.
Yeah, so I will preface this by saying the AASHTO standard for vehicle, it's a larger SUV or truck, because if that can make it, obviously a passenger vehicle has a lot less of a problem doing it. So the engineer on staff who did this is a perfectionist, I will say that. So he really tried to make this work, and could there be some factor safety built in? Of course. We are in a community that see a lot of SUVs, a lot of bigger trucks driving around if you go about your day. And this was the best we could do. So the one on the far left is a car backing out, which would, and it's not uncommon. Again, in a parking lot, you expect that. Somebody backing out of a space, you usually yield to them. And then the one in the center is staying in the travel lane and making that maneuver into the parking space. You encroach a little bit into the other spot. If these were all smart cars, Fiat small vehicles, probably not a problem. But that's just not the environment we have here in Franklin. And then the last example on the far right is not encroaching into the other stalls and having to encroach into the oncoming travel lane as well. So glad I got to show that to you. But oftentimes in a parking area, you'll have wider pavement, people going about 5 miles an hour, really slow, really paying attention what they're doing, and a lot less through movements for traffic as well. So these are the two major corridors that go through this development. We heard 1,000 events. That's a lot of traffic. Not to mention all the great restaurants and retail options that'll be here. I'm sure of it. It's going to be a great destination and a great project for the city. We just can't support the angle parking. Thank you.
Anybody else? I'll have to agree with some other comments. I'm not sure how, or I don't recall how Berry Farms got their angle parking approved, but it works there. I'm down there a lot, shopping, getting food, that sort of thing. And it's almost like a traffic calming mechanism, because you're on the lookout for somebody backing up. It is by far, you're not traveling down that road anything over a couple miles an hour. So my thoughts. Anyone else have any opinions or want to comment? All right, we have a motion to approve MOS number 1 to allow the angled parking. We'll begin voting. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
No.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. MOS number 1 for angled parking is approved. Let's go to MOS number 2, which is a request to allow a loading zone in front of a building. All right. I have a motion on this topic.
Second.
All right, proper motion and second. Discussion?
Does that motion include the recommendation to our staff or their comments to provide the brick screening?
Yeah, that motion would include the
Staff
Okay.
conditions?
staff recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? None? Have a motion, proper motion to approve and a proper second. And let's vote. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. MOS number 2 is approved to allow a loading zone in front of a building. Modification of standard number 3, request to allow variation in the multifamily building facade presentation. All right, do we have a motion on this item?
Move for approval.
Second.
Okay. Who was the second by?
Commissioner McLemore.
McLemore. All right. Have a proper motion by Commissioner Mann and second by Commissioner McLemore. Any discussion on this item?
I guess I would follow up that I think this will, our decision here will probably also apply to, I think, Harpeth Village that we saw at the joint conceptual. Maybe it was Harpeth, right? Because they have an interior road with a setback angle. I think they were seeking a similar modification of standard. So I just wanted to flag that I think it's probably going to be a pretty similar analysis. So this is precedent, in my opinion.
Any other comments? All right, seeing none, we have a proper motion for approval to allow variation in multifamily building facade presentation. And we'll vote. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, ayes have it. MOS number 3 is approved, allowing variation in multifamily building facade. All right, MOS number 4, request to allow variation in the commercial mixed-use building facade presentation. Have a motion?
Before you take a motion, just a reminder that these are recommendations to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for the phrasing of your motion.
Sure, thank you.
Request to add the following language on all of these that have that. Is that okay?
Great. Do we have a motion?
Number 5. Motion.
Number 4.
Number 4. Motion to recommend approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Second.
All right, proper motion for approval by Commissioner Mann and second by Commissioner Harrison. Discussion on MOS number 4. Anyone? Thoughts? None? All right, have a motion for approval to request a variation in commercial mixed-use building facade. This is MOS number 4, and we'll vote. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, ayes have it. MOS number 4 is approved to allow variation in commercial mixed-use building facade presentation. MOS number 5, request to permit irregular shaped signage. Have a motion on this item?
Approval to the Board of Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Okay,
I'll second.
all right. Proper motion for approval by Commissioner Harrison and second by Commissioner Williamson. Any discussion on MOS number 5? No? All right, seeing none, we'll vote. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. MOS number 5 is approved to permit irregular shaped signage. MOS number 6, request to permit neon and LED internal illumination when the sign has three-dimensional depth and is used within a channel or used to reinforce the design of a sign as letters, numbers, logos, and accents. To have a motion on this item.
Move for approval. Second. To the Board of Mayor and Alderman.
Great. And who was the second?
Alderman Pierce.
All right, we have a motion for approval to the Board, Mayor, and Alderman by Commissioner McLemore and a second by Alderman Peterson. Discussion on MOS number 6. None? All good? With proper motion and second, we'll vote for approval. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, ayes have it. MOS number 6 to permit neon and LED internal illumination passes. MOS number 7, request to permit 15 pedestrian scale interactive displays to provide wayfinding or advertising. Maximum square footage of 50 total square feet per sign with maximum of 2 sides, maximum height of 10 feet. Signs to be located on internal drives only and located within the frontage of commercial mixed-use building types or within formal open space, out of the view of Carruthers Parkway, McEwen Drive, and Ovation. Do I have a motion on this item?
Move for approval to the Board of Mayor and Alderman. And with the suggestions that. Oh.
I'll second that for discussion, but I would like to amend. Do you want to amend it? You want me to amend it?
I'm recommending approval of the modification.
Okay.
Not disapproval, approval.
Okay. And your motion for approval is as written?
I'll make a motion to, if I can.
Well, we got a motion and a second on the floor now.
I'll second that. Well, no, I won't take that. I want to amend.
So I no longer have a second. All I have is a motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Well, that was a suggestion to change the
Yeah.
maximum height to 8.
I like to hear it.
Would you like to modify your
Yes.
motion to include
Include
12 total signs with a max height of 8
Yes,
feet?
yes,
Okay.
yes. Thank you.
Is it,
You want a second?
The second time, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll second.
okay. We have a proper motion and a second, and the motion is for approval to allow 12 pedestrian signs with a max height of 8 feet. Discussion.
We talked about this at the conceptual meeting, and I thought it was something great because it is a special place. And you got 500 square feet of area that people need to know where they're going. So I think it's a good thing. So that's why I'm voting for approval.
Okay. Anybody else? Commissioner Williamson?
Yeah, I think on this, I'm split. I can kind of see both sides of it. I could support it completely if it was, more, inside the parking structure. But you have a lot of signs here, and just like on the next one that we're going to be looking at, where there's a cognizance of facing that towards a building, away from those, main areas. These signs are going to be illuminated at night as well. So I'm kind of hesitant, and I don't think I can quite support this as written.
Okay. Commissioner Mann?
This is one that I also don't think I can support. I think even 12 is a lot. I almost feel like it would be distracting trying to drive out of a garage and seeing that. In today's day and age, I actually feel like maybe a better option would maybe be creating an app for Ovation, and you reflect all the events there, and you precisely locate where the development is going to be, click on it, and you can just walk there using your maps on your phone. I mean, that's how I typically get around. I think a lot of folks do that. I just think there's probably better options in my mind than this many signs that are illuminated with advertisements around the development. So,
Okay. Any other discussion? All right. So this is a vote to approve, have a proper motion for approval by Commissioner McLemore and a second by Commissioner Franks. And this is to permit 12 pedestrian scale signs at a max height of 8 feet. And let's vote. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
no.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
No.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
Yes. We have ayes of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Noes of 2. The ayes have it. MOS number 7 passes. MOS number 8. Request to permit a large format digital display screen mounted to the facade of a building for on-site advertising and events. Sign to be located on the ground floor of a commercial mixed-use building out of view from Carruthers Parkway, McEwen Drive, and Ovation Parkway. Maximum square footage of 400 square feet. Do I have a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to recommend for approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Okay,
I'll second.
second. All right. I have a proper motion for approval by Commissioner Mann and second by Commissioner McLemore. Discussion? Anybody have? Commissioner Mann?
I think this is a pretty cool feature that does make the development really unique. You know, I'm downtown Nashville a lot, and I on the Assembly Food Hall, they have the large screen, and they use it for those, not the movies, but for those purposes. I think that one's a little bit too high in the sky, but this is, I think, a great location right at Central Park. I think it'll be a really cool feature for the development.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Commissioner Williamson?
Yeah, I think, it came before in the workshop, and I think I was a little hesitant about that. But I think looking at this and the application, I like how it's being faced towards Building G. And I think just overall, it will be a benefit to the community to appreciate this.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. Seeing none, I have a motion of approval by Commissioner Mann and second by Commissioner McLemore, and that is to permit a large digital format sign. Proceed to vote. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. MOS number 8 is approved to allow a large format digital sign screen. All right. MOS number 9, request to permit band signs above the entrance to Pasco alleyway. Have a motion for this item?
Recommend approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
All right.
Second.
Should beat you to it. Second. Have a motion for approval by Commissioner Mann, a second by Commissioner McLemore. Discussion? Anybody? Thoughts? Feelings? All good? All right. Seeing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. MOS number 9 is approved to permit band signs above the entrance to Pasco and Holloway. MOS number 10, request to allow a canopy sign to project above the canopy roof line and allow for internal illumination. Motion on this item?
Recommend motion to approve to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
Okay.
I'll second.
I guess with staff. Yeah.
Have a motion for approval by Commissioner Harrison, second by Commissioner Williamson. Discussion? Thoughts? You may have thoughts, feelings on this one? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. And this is a motion for approval. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsey is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
The ayes have it. MOS number 10 to allow a canopy sign projected above the canopy roof line and allow for internal illumination passes. MOS number 11, request to allow a directory signs on building facade or freestanding adjacent to primary entrances to building with maximum of 10 square feet per building facade in addition to other permitted signage on the building and with exterior and interior illumination. Have a motion on this item.
Motion approved.
Second.
All right, have a motion for approval by Commissioner Franks, a second by Commissioner Harrison. Discussion? Anyone? All right. Seeing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsey is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. MOS number 11 passes to allow directory signs on the building facade. MOS number 12, request to permit external and internal illumination for small hanging and projecting signs. To have a motion on this item?
I'd like to recommend approval to the board, mayor, and alderman.
All right. There's a second? All right, have a motion of approval by Commissioner Williamson, a second by Commissioner Franks. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Commissioner
This
Williamson?
on this one, I know it was expressed by staff that it doesn't add to the pedestrian scale. I think it really does, especially in the scale of this type of development, and you have those out there, especially if you think about kind of it's going to be very, very activated in the evening. If you have external illumination, you are getting some extra glare. There's a lot of light spread outside of that sign area. And when it's internal, it's definitely more contained and I think more visible, which is what they're trying to achieve from that pedestrian standpoint.
Any other discussion? No? All right, we have a motion for approval by Commissioner Williamson, second by Commissioner Franks. Seeing no more discussion, we'll vote. Commissioner Harrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks?
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsey is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann?
No.
Commissioner McLemore?
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson?
Aye.
And Alderman Peterson?
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. MOS number 12 is approved to request or permit external and internal illumination for small hanging projecting signs. MOS number 13, request to allow a maximum of one per commercial mixed-use building where the residential is on upper floors over commercial, and maximum of one per multifamily building and a maximum of one per parking structure. Shall not project below the window header on the first floor and shall not project above the parapet of the building facade, a maximum of 4 feet from the building facade inclusive of bracket depth. To have a motion on this item?
Move to approve to the board and mayor, alderman.
Okay, there's a second. Second. All right, have a motion of approval by Commissioner Harrison, second by Commissioner Mann. Any discussion? Discussion? All right. Seeing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote for Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsey is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. MOS number 13 passes. MOS number 14, request to permit painted wall signs and add language to the quantity, placement, and materials. Do I have a motion on this item?
Recommend approval. The board of mayor and alderman.
Second.
All right. Have a motion of approval by Commissioner Mann, a second by Commissioner Harrison. Discussion? Anybody have thoughts on this one? All right. Seeing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote. And this is a motion for approval. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. MOS number 14, request to permit painted wall signs and add language to the quantity, placement, and materials passes. All right, MOS number 15, request to permit 20% coverage on window signs and the materials to include white frosted or gold leaf vinyl. To have a motion on this item.
Recommend approval to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen.
All right.
Second.
Have a motion for approval by Commissioner Mann and second by Commissioner McLemore. Any discussion on this one? None? All right, seeing no discussion, we'll proceed to vote for a motion of approval. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
The ayes have it. Motion for approval passes on MOS number 15, which is a request to permit 20% coverage on window signs, the materials to include white, frosted, and gold leaf vinyl. All right. Let's go back to the main motion for item number 20, and that includes all 15 of the approved modification of standards with subsequent conditions on each one of them, with the change on MOS number 7 of 12 of the displays at 8-foot maximum height. Any final discussion on this one? All right. Seeing none, we have a proper motion of approval by Commissioner Franks and a second by Commissioner Harrison. And we'll proceed to vote. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right, the ayes have it. Resolution 2026-24 with all 15 modification of standards passes. All right. Any other business? Anybody would like to give me a motion to adjourn? All right.
Second.
Have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Harrison, second by Commissioner McLemore, and we'll vote. Commissioner Harrison.
Aye.
Commissioner Allen is absent. Commissioner Franks.
Aye.
Commissioner Lindsay is absent. Commissioner Orr votes aye. Commissioner Mann.
Yes.
Commissioner McLemore.
Aye.
Commissioner Williamson.
Aye.
Alderman Peterson.
Yes.
All right. We're adjourned.